When we kicked off this mentoring thing in that first cohort group out in Colorado Springs, it really gave me an opportunity to get to know a lot of our other trainers who I don't necessarily interact with because I do work, in the national office, and I'm not out in the field, so to speak, as much as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it also provided me a great opportunity to build a relationship with my accountability partner, I think is the term we're using now, instead of mentors, mentees. But it gave me an opportunity to really build a relationship with him, which has proved invaluable thus far. I mean, our conversations have gone way beyond just, the CDP trainings. And now we're talking about, career advice and life advice. And it's been fantastic. And I can lean on him because of his experiences and knowing where his strengths are to help me, as well as him coming to me for vice versa things.
Right. That's fabulous. And so we use an assessment tool called the Strength Finder, which measures lots of different ways you're talented. How are your strengths different? Or I know you're a lot of influencing, which is a lot of horsepower, right? What does he bring that complements your strengths?
I think when I look at like where his strengths lie, if I recall correctly, and I'm terrible with remembering all the bullet points, but I know like belief was one of his big strengths, and it's reassuring that when I chat with him, that he brings that to the table, and as I listen to him speak and kind of reply to questions I might have, I can tell that he genuinely believes, in what I'm saying, or in my ability to make something happen, or in my ability to see, a bigger picture, and that belief reassures me where I'm going.
Nice.
And also helps to, knowing his belief that when he says, I don't know if that's, the way you want to go with that, I know that he truly believes it, and it's not just a line to get me off the phone or whatever.
Right. So there's a sense of, I don't know, commitment and responsibility in that, right? Yeah. Oh, that's fabulous.
And knowing that that's one of his strengths, from the Strengths Finder program, it validates, the feeling that you get when you talk to him about things.
Yeah. There's a real sense of authenticity, I think.
Absolutely.
With that strength. Yeah, that's great. Those red strengths, I call them red, they're the influencing strengths. And the reason I do that is there is such emotional intensity with them, right? So I color them red for a reason. They're the most intense strengths out of all the strengths that are measured in the talents that are measured in the Strength Finder. Share the story about you realizing when one of your strengths was running away with itself.
Yeah, for sure. So, in my top 5, command is right up there. And a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was maybe late February, I had been doing a level 2 clinic, or the DTP clinic as it's now called, with a partner. And, we got about halfway through the day, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm totally steamrolling my partner. Because I'm passionate and I'm excited and I have, an energy about this. And it really forced me to stop for a second and go, hey, Mario, and that was my partner on that clinic, Mario, are you feeling valued here? Because I feel like I'm just going with this thing. And, I want to make sure that, you have an opportunity to share what you know. And, I really want to, we're here together. This isn't a one-person show where you're just here to set up cones or something. So I want to make sure that you have an opportunity. And he was great about it. He was like, dude, I'm excited by what you're doing, and the people are excited to move it. Just keep going. I'm okay. I'm cool. And I'm learning just as much from him. Like, yeah, but we're in this thing together. So, I think I need to back off a little. And then I said, on our call the other night that, I really, it made me having an awareness of it, made it come to the forefront of my mind, where in the past I may have just kept going and not have done that.
Right.
And I think moving forward after that self-realization, and I joke that I might just have to leave the gym or the field and, hey, no disrespect, I'm going to go use the restroom for 10 minutes while you teach so that I don't jump in and take over.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's fabulous. And, that's such a great aspect of self-awareness. Very rarely do adults take the strength finder and go, oh, I didn't know that. More often they realize the potential of regulating those talents, dialing up or dialing down as the situation demands, right? So that's such a great example. I love that. Sounds like your strengths have helped you be a better partner and maybe even, a better coach. Any other examples you care to share with us on how knowing your strengths and being part of this journey of focusing on what success looks like in a role and things like that, how has that helped you in other areas of your work or your life?
No, so, I'll hit on the personal aspect. I came home from Colorado. I'm like, this is really interesting. And I shared it with my wife. And having her, just letting her be aware of why maybe I act the way I do at home, especially with like the creativity and the futuristic stuff and, that ability to just let me go. Right. And I'll figure this thing out and make it happen, has, I think in some ways improved my home relationships. Not that my wife and I were like anywhere in a trouble zone by any means, but it's helped give her an insight into, okay, yeah, TJ is going to run with this thing and he's passionate about it, motivated about it. And sometimes I need to just stay out of the way because that's who he is. And that's how he's wired. And I think the other piece, professionally is that, I'm now bringing a greater self-awareness when I come into a meeting about how I, maybe deliver information. I know, there's some of the blind spot things that were unlocked in that 34. And I start looking at that and I'm going, I might need to slow down a little bit or provide greater details when I'm sharing, hey, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing in our department, whether that's, with somebody on my team or outside of our department, so that they have a better understanding of the what and the why behind, our newest initiative or efforts.
That's a great point. And what that does is give them permission to speak up if they are feeling left behind, right? I sometimes describe the team experience of our strengths as you're all running a race together. And if you are always out front and miles ahead of everybody with your futuristic and your ideation and all that energy that you have with command and all the other amazing competition strengths you have, they never get to experience it with you.
Sure.
Right. And so slowing down and allowing them to contribute, allowing yourself to be more effective with them, which is what great leaders are. Right. So, yeah, I think that's a great aspect of it.
Yeah. And sometimes I find that hard because, I do have that command strength where I want to be in charge and I want to be the leader. And, it's sometimes, I read an article about, leading from behind that, use the headlights as opposed to the taillights, right? To guide people in the direction to go as opposed to letting them follow you.
Right. And in the past, would you say you were miles ahead of everybody and didn't even realize what the impact might have been or didn't notice that they were left behind?
Totally. And Erin, as we were emailing back and forth,
that was cute.
I'd comment about Erin, my boss, and, her giving me enough rope to hang myself with or something to that effect and the freedom to just go after it.
Right.
And, she commented back kind of jokingly, yeah, and I mop up the damage. But in some instances that can be very true.
That can be true.
Because we're just going to go, we're going to move ahead. Sometimes I don't know how we're going to get there. It's going to be great. Not sure how we're going to do it, but let's go do it. And that doesn't necessarily work for everybody.
It doesn't. And it's leaving behind talent that might help you be more effective. Right.
For sure.
So, yeah. And what if you could be just as effective as you are without a need to have people mopping up behind you? Yeah. Right. I used to work for a boss wired a little bit like you, and they eventually called me your handler. And I'm like, but what if she didn't need a handler? Right? And she did need a handler. So anyhow, yeah, it's about managing our talent to effectiveness. There's no great talent. There's no crappy talent. There's all good talent. And how do we use it to be effective at the individual level and with a team? And you're clearly doing that. And you're leading the way for all of us. And I can't tell you how much I enjoy watching you use your talent.
Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Anything else you want to add?
It's been very enlightening, and especially now that I went ahead and unlocked the 34 to really see, It's interesting, we were talking about woo on the call the other night,
Word.
and, I think that was around like 12 or 13 for me. And I started thinking, I'm like, that's really true about me. Like, it's not that it's a weakness, but I'm not out in front going, go ahead, you can do it. You guys got this. Woo. That's, I'm not doing it. Inside, I feel that way, but I'm not overtly displaying it on the outside. And I think, I'm coaching 9 and 10-year-old girls right now. And I think I actually need to, leverage that strength a little bit more.
Release your woo.
Release your woo. But I think that's, knowing that it is that, that low and kind of in the middle of the pack there.
Yeah.
That's something I think now that I'm aware of it, I can, again, try to utilize a little bit more to create a better experience for my athletes, and as well as coaches when I'm working in CDP clinics.
Super. I think that's a great insight. And frankly, the data shows if it's like 12, 13, or 14, that's accessible, right? Mm-hmm. Harder is the stuff down at the very bottom, right? The 34. Those are harder to access and they take longer and more.
My empathy.
I know.
And discipline.
Me too. Boy, I'll tell you, we're wired similar from that standpoint. I used to say, boy, empathy is so overrated. Right? And of course it isn't, but we don't have it.
Right.
So we have to partner with people who have empathy, which is a wonderful journey for them, right? So anyhow, well, listen, thank you. This has been super enlightening. I appreciate your time and look forward to work with you even more closely in the future.
Absolutely, Maureen. Anytime, anything, I'm here to help and happy to do it.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Maureen.